Hey everybody, this is Penny from Wacko Witch Astrology, and today I'm here to be more than a little bit harsh on you and more than a little bit harsh on your astrological sign, because I am going to tell you what is wrong with your sign. If you need to rebalance after this video and hear some positive things about your sign, I do have plans for that video as well, and it's coming, so make sure you're subscribed. So before we get started, I just want to let you know that you are loved as you are, and you don't have to be perfect. And I truly believe that everyone has a meaningful purpose in this world, and there's a reason why you are the way that you are, and it's a good reason. And it's a justified reason. But with that being said, we're gonna dig into some astrological signs now. So let's get going, starting with Aries. Aries, you guys have a limited capacity to care. I feel like you literally have like a monobar for how much you can care, and you act like you're constantly worried that it's gonna deplete. So you have like kind of a hierarchy of people in your life, and you're like, if I take time to care about this person down here, I'm not gonna have enough energy left to care about this person who I actually feel some sense of responsibility and duty towards. So you always act like you have this limited ability to care, like you're in a deficit of it all the time. And even within your personal relationships, you do act like at some point you need to bring in a distraction rather than just constantly moving forward with the flow of empathy, because you feel like you are going to run out of it in a very short amount of time. So that's your problem, Aries. Next, we have Taurus. Taurus's problems are pretty stereotypical, and I think we are only scratching at the surface when we say that Taurus is materialistic and obsessed with food. Sometimes when you have a Taurus in your life, it actually feels like they don't have the capacity to understand any nuances at all. They don't have the capacity to actually understand why you're upset. And they're like just solving the physical problems all the time. They're like only operating in the physical plane. And they're like, oh, we have plenty of food. Why are you upset? Do you need more food? No, Mom, I don't need more food. People have emotional needs and intellectual needs and other things as well. So I feel like Taurus will always try to solve problems with like changing the material surroundings, buying things, making purchases, and not really understanding the depth of the problem. But whatever, there's many Tauruses that are great, unfortunately, so whatever. Okay, so next we have Gemini. Gemini, you guys don't listen. Like, you just absolutely do not listen. I feel like when people are talking to you, you do not absorb what they are saying. Whenever you have a conversation with a Gemini, it's like they are going to make it about whatever it is they wanted to talk about. And even more specifically, they're going to make it about coming to the conclusion that they wanted to come to, that they already had this like preconceived notion about things and the way they were supposed to turn out, and Gemini's just gonna like ignore everything you say and just make it turn out in that specific way, regardless of what any other human has to say about it. So that's Gemini. Next, we are moving on to Cancer. Cancer, oh gosh. Okay, so my ex-husband is a Cancer. I have made videos about it before. Deep wound for me, but I feel like in a lot of ways Cancer's just not the person they're supposed to be. And one of the biggest mistakes of Cancer is, how do I even put this? Like, honestly, I feel like I'm too biased to give a realistic answer to this one. Cancer can get kind of stuck in a cycle of self-pity. And it's almost like they want to be there. They don't want anyone else to pull them out, to come and rescue them. Or maybe they do, you don't really know. So they'll have this like whether they're male or female or non-binary, they'll have this like damsel in distress attitude about things. Like, someone come and save me from my pity, from my misery. And it like, I feel like they don't even do it in an obvious way. They don't even like say that's what they're doing, but sometimes they'll like use emotional manipulation tactics and they'll like guilt trip the people around them and, you know, try to like suck you down with them into that like negative emotional space where you become an enabler for all their like bad habits and stuff. Anyway, rant over. Moving on to Leo. What is wrong with Leos? I've said it before in my like sad signs series. Leos can be so whiny and so pouty, and honestly what it comes down to is, for better or for worse, we make everything about us. So when someone insults us, it can hurt us even more than it would hurt someone else of another sign, because someone else of another sign might be able to say, oh, well, what they say isn't necessarily about me. You know, this person doesn't really know me. I don't have to take it personally. I can just kind of brush it off. But Leo's like, right in the heart. You're talking about me. You know everything about me. Everything is about me. So obviously this insult is about me. And obviously I have to take it super personally. And then, you know, little things like you got rejected for a job you wanted or something like that. Leos have such a bad habit of always taking it personally. Like, someone doesn't answer your phone call, oh my gosh, they must freaking hate you, right? Doesn't it kind of suck to be a Leo? All right, moving on to Virgo. Right now, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with Virgos. I don't have any problems with any Virgos. I like Virgos. Like, I'm a Virgo rising, and sometimes I kind of wish I could be more like Virgo sun people that I know and that I encounter. And I have like a girl crush on you. Like, even if you're a male Virgo, I don't care. We're gonna call it a girl crush because you have a feminine sign, okay? Own it. Okay, but here's the real thing, and this is a problem that I have too. Virgos will say things that sound so freaking insensitive, and they won't even be able to figure out like what was wrong about what they said. It's like, your shoes are really ugly, and they bring out the stains on your teeth as well. Like, a Virgo will like say something to you like that, and they'll think they're just being real. They'll think like they're just being honest, stating facts. And like, this is just an example. Most Virgos know better than to say something that obvious, but a lot of times it'll come down to just the language and the terminology that we use and the way we kind of nonchalantly talk about certain things. It ends up hurting people because they perceive the world as being much more emotionally fueled, and Virgo's logical mind can't always comprehend that. Like, why are we dragging, like, you know, you might have your moon in Pisces or something like that, so it's going to vary from person to person, but the Virgo perspective of things is kind of that we're always dragging unnecessary emotions and like unnecessary diva moments into every little thing, and it's basically wasting our time. It's basically creating distractions and creating chaos. So Virgos tend to be annoyed about that, and then other people are annoyed with Virgo for basically just being insensitive, basically just being very rude, and Virgo might not realize how much they are hurting other people's feelings, that like people can't freaking talk to Virgo without wanting to cry. And whose fault is that really? I don't know. Both parties can take some degree of responsibility and try to better themselves based on the knowledge we now have, as we were enlightened by, I won't even take credit for it, the knowledge that is surrounding me, swarming around my head, that has been coming in all my life, all of my years. I don't know why I'm being ridiculous. Okay, Libra. What is wrong with Libra? I think first and foremost, all Libras have this lazy streak, and they are very self-righteous about it. They're very defensive about it. They're very much like, I am entitled to this. I am entitled to be lazy as I want, and I am entitled to not have to put in the same effort that other people are putting in. And I think that kind of comes down to Libra's perceptions of the world, and they'll arbitrarily decide what they think is owed to them at any given moment, and they'll feel like this is owed to me. Everyone else has to like wait for me right now so I can recharge. You know, someone else is going to have to pay my bills for a little while. Someone else is going to have to do all this other stuff for me for a little while because I need to recharge. And honestly, that's something I think that a lot of us envy. A lot of us wish we could just be like, okay, I need to recharge. Like everything else on hold, my time to recharge, my time to take a bubble bath, you know, all of that. And that's part of the reason why it annoys people so much. But anyway, moving on to Scorpio. Scorpio, oh. Okay, you guys, I think you guys make yourself look like the bad guy, look like the enemy in a lot of ways. You know, you tend to take on roles where you're a lot of Scorpios, you know, they'll have roles where they're able to abuse power. You know, they'll be like the boss, they'll be the CEO, they'll be owning some kind of company or something. They're very clearly in a position where they can abuse power, and they're not always as bad as they seem. Like, I don't know, sometimes it feels more than anything else that they'll have like a really nice side, a really sweet side, but then they'll have this totally savage side where they're just willing to take advantage of others, where they're willing to stomp all over other people, where they're willing to like basically kill, so to speak, you know, we take that however you want it, in order to achieve their goal and to get where they want to get to. And then we end up seeing a lot of Scorpio people who become corrupted by money, who will do literally anything to succeed. And then it gets to a point where it seems like they don't freaking have a conscience anymore. So I do think Scorpio becomes more toxic based on the things they're given in life. Sometimes they're given too much power and it goes to their head and they abuse it. They become toxic because of it. So Scorpio people really have to keep themselves in check and, you know, really have to remind themselves to be true to the person that they wanted to be when they were younger, you know, before they got the money, the power, whatever that they ended up with. So that's just kind of an example there. Next, we're moving on to Sagittarius, and sometimes this sign drives me so crazy. It's not even just about the Sagittarius sun sign, it's just kind of about the Sagittarius placements in general. So similar to Gemini, Sagittarius has a habit of just kind of arbitrarily deciding what is true and what isn't. And it seems like it can become a situation where they're gaslighting, where they're trying to tell you something is true when it's not true. It can become a situation where they're not actually listening to the facts, but they're instead acting like they know something factual when it was really just an opinion. And they becomes like so emotionally consumed by opinions that they will start to treat those opinions as if they are facts, as if they are set in stone and there's no arguing with them, there's no room for debate, no point in even having a conversation about it because you better just accept things the way that they are. And Sagittarius has a reputation for being honest, even like brutally honest, if you will. But a lot of Sagittarius people tell some pretty awful lies, you know, whether it's Sagittarius moon, Sagittarius sun, whatever it is. And the thing about it is they will tell these lies with 100% conviction. Like you can literally have the proof right there in front of you that some of these Sagittarius people are lying to you. And like they will not go back on their word. They absolutely will not go back on their word. And sometimes I think it's kind of like a psychological protection tool. And we all have different things that we lie about. You know, they say everyone lies. If you don't admit it, you're a liar. I don't know how true that like actually scientifically is. But I think Sagittarius, they really have these types of lies that they tell in order to like protect themselves psychologically. Like, no, I'm a fantastic person. I only do fantastic things. Whatever are you talking about? I did not do this bad, awful thing that you have me like on video doing, basically. So sometimes the lies really get that messed up with Sagittarius. Okay, that was depressing. Now we have to move on to Capricorn. Capricorn. One thing about Capricorn is they pretty much always choose the hard route, and they make things really hard on themselves. So this could mean like just doing little things to make the regular work day more difficult, doing things to attract animosity to yourself, and doing things to create more difficult relationships around you. You know, doing things to build a wall and a barrier between you and the people around you. Now, I don't want to say that I've never had a problem with Capricorns, because I totally have. And it's usually a matter of them picking fights. And it's not even just like the type of fight where like we disagree about something. You know, I know a lot of people especially have political disagreements that they've been bickering about nowadays. And I'm not seeing as many Capricorn people doing that. I actually saw most of the Capricorns I know staying out of that type of thing. But the types of fights that Capricorn picks, I feel like it's usually either they're just in a bad mood and they want to fight, or it's like feral. It's like totally feral. It's like when one dog smells another dog and they just don't like the way that dog smells, they're just gonna start barking and growling up a storm. And I think it's usually because Capricorn has some underlying emotions that they haven't dealt with. And they try so hard to keep those emotions buried, to keep those feelings buried. And when someone else brings those up, you know, whatever type of insecurity that is that has been festering beneath the surface, Capricorn flips the freak out, and they cannot handle it. They cannot act constructively at times. Okay, Aquarius. I feel like it comes down to the same classic thing. Aquarius can be very distant. They have a very bad habit of ghosting people. They have a bad habit of not being clear on what they want, and they basically don't want to have to spell anything out for anyone. They don't want to have to say, you know, this is what this is the time I'm going to be home, and I'm going to stick to my word. They don't want to really have to stick to their word on anything. So even if they do make a promise to you, even if they do tell you that a certain thing's going to happen, you pretty much have to take it with a grain of salt. And if you expect them to be honest about what time you and them are going to be meeting up or what you are going to be doing tomorrow, then you are pretty much always going to end up in a fight with this Aquarius person. And I do find that they tend to be more consistent when there's more people involved. So if it's maybe like a group event, you can like more rely on them showing up. But pretty much for me, the way I maintain my friendships with Aquarians is if we make plans to do something, I take it with a grain of salt. I take it as a, you know, I'll check my phone 30 minutes beforehand. You know, I might try to like specifically call or exchange messages with them to make sure that it's still happening. And I'm pretty much going to assume that it's not going to happen. And that way I'm not as upset. But the fact that I have to assume that Aquarians are lying to me and they're not going to stick to their word, you could say that kind of sucks. Yeah. And they also seem like they have, like, this is like more of a Leo complaint. They have this complex where they don't want to have to like compliment me directly. Like, you know, they'd rather like leave really vague compliments that are like free for all, like out to the general public. Like, yes, all women in general are valuable. I don't want to talk about, you know, like, let's say my wife being valuable. I just want to talk about how valuable all women as a whole are. And like most people are not okay with that. You know, most people want to feel like they're seen as an individual, that they're seen for being special, and we're not okay with that, Aquarius. Last sign of the zodiac is Pisces. What is wrong with Pisces? I feel like I had a lot of Pisces kind of disagreement with me recently about, you know, what I said about things they do when they're sad. I did feel like that was a lack of self-awareness, and I feel like sometimes they get so immersed in their own problems, so wrapped up in their own problems, that they don't realize how it's actually manifesting in the world around them. They don't realize how it's affecting them. They don't realize how it's affecting other people in their life. And, you know, whenever a Pisces is struggling in life, you know, whether it's they just lost a job, there was a bad event that just happened, it's like they really are drowning in it. It's like they just absolutely cannot function in a realistic way. And because of that, Pisces really need creative and imaginative outlets, probably more than any other sign does. You know, they need to be able to invent something or paint something or, you know, do something imaginative, because they get so lost to the point where it seems like they can't function in reality. But reality does benefit from having like imagination and creation thrown in here and there. So anyway, that's what I have to say about Pisces. If you liked the video, make sure you're subscribed and turn notification bells on. Please do the same with Facebook to make sure you can actually see my Facebook posts, because things are changing all the time. And if you really, really like me and you really like my content, you can check out my merchandise that I designed. Maybe you want to buy some. If you want to be able to help me continue uploading videos regardless of whether or not I'm monetized, because I've been demonetized for years at a time in the past, you can support me on Patreon as well, and I would really appreciate that. So see you next time. Bye.